Okay, ladies and gents, it's 6:30, and I'd like to call to order the Guilford Select Board meeting of January 11th. Welcome all. As chair of the Guilford Select Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Scott as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and pursuant to Addendum 6 to Executive Order 01-20 and Act 92, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. In accordance with Act 92, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the temporary amendments to the open meeting law, I confirm that we are, 1, providing public access to the meeting by video conferencing, with additional access offered through telephone. We are using Google Meet for this remote meeting. All members of the Guilford Select Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if desired, participate in this meeting by going to the following site: meet.google.com/meet-my-b as in baby s-jmw, or they can call 617-675-4444 and enter the PIN number 825-157-502-2686 pound. 2, providing public notice of instructions for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting using video conferencing and telephoning. And we also posted this on Guilford Town's website, guilfordvt.net. 3, providing a mechanism to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please dial 603-558-0891. And lastly, continuing the meeting if necessary. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, it will be continued to a time and place certain. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting will be done by roll call. So let's start the meeting by taking the roll call of our select board. Michael Becker.
Here.
Miranda Port.
Here.
Rusty Marine.
Here.
Zon Eastes.
Here.
Richard Wazansky. Here. Thank you very much. Before we begin the formal proceedings of the meeting, I would like to mention that the passing of one of our most cherished friends and members of our town, who did so much for this town in regard to her spirit and her volunteerism. Mimi Morton passed away last night, and we grieve her passing. She was a very wonderful woman. I'd like to now recognize the public. Would you care to introduce yourself? Those of you who are from the public, I see 2 of you. You're on mute.
I'm not. I'm here. It's Ann Ryder.
Hi, Ann.
Hi.
Sheila Morse.
Thank you. All right. Rules of procedure. The rules of procedure on our town administrator's desk, Mr. Peter Rood, and those rules govern how the public will interact with the select board, and the select board interact with the public. And the basic premise of those rules of procedure are that we are civil with one another. That's really sums it up. And then we can move on to, are there any additions to the agenda?
I do not have any, Richard,
All
but
right.
I believe you do.
I do, and that is it the dog hearing?
No, the select board was going to discuss sending
Condolence.
letters of condolences to Rick, as well as to Danny.
Okay, thank you. And I know that Veranda has a hand-drawn, a hand-painted card
Painted.
that Evelyn McLean did, Veranda's sister, and so we'll discuss that at the end of the meeting. And we should also discuss, I would like to discuss how the select board can convey its condolences to Mimi Morton's family, including her daughter and her husband, Rick, who, as you know, has been the town moderator. Are there any changes to the agenda order?
No, Richard, I do not have any.
Okay, then we can move right along to the minutes. I'm assuming that you've read the minutes. I did a very late edit of them for some grammatical issues. They were very minor, but yes, Zon?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rusty. Is there any discussion? Okay, I shall take the roll. Michael?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Zon?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. The minutes are approved unanimously. Thank you very much. On to the highway update. We don't have Dan here, but have you spoken to Dan, Peter?
Yes, Dan and I had a socially distanced meeting in person this morning, and he wanted you folks to know that the road crew has been busy doing some pretty typical winter work. They've been cutting trees, pruning brush, sanding the roads, plowing snow when needed, and repairing equipment. Other than that, they're just awaiting the next inevitable snowstorm,
You're right.
which hopefully won't be this week.
Yeah. And did the radiator get repaired?
Radiator.
Wasn't it the radiator of a truck that
On the grader, yes, that was done last week.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much, Peter. And the next item is the new business. And the first item under new business that I have is the reserve fund surplus, and really recommendations from the Finance Advisory Committee regarding the current budget that we are developing for the town, to present it to the town. So, Sheila, would you like to give the recommendation?
That's what I wondered. Would you like me to just read the recommendation of the Finance Committee so it's in the record?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for my voice. The Finance Advisory Committee recommends that up to $125,000 from the town's general reserve fund be used to replace revenues that would normally be raised by taxes for the fiscal year 2022 budget. Peter, you have this copy. You don't have to take notes. Okay. Recommended allocation is as follows. $35,000 to the new Guilford Volunteer Fire Department Capital Fund, $12,500 to the Green River Covered Bridge Fund, $3,000 to the Record Preservation Fund, $24,500 to the Waterline Fund, and the remainder to the Capital Projects Fund. The Finance Advisory Committee also recommends that if the forthcoming audit results in a general reserve fund results in excess funds in the general reserve fund, that those be used to further reduce tax revenues to be raised for fiscal year 2022. I will also add that these figures differ from those that were submitted to the Gazette article last week. But I think it's going to be easy enough in any number of future communications to update the figures.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
So those are the recommendations from the Finance Advisory Committee. We had a very, I thought, constructive meeting this morning, and select board members were present and agreed with the recommendation of the Finance Advisory Committee. Peter, would you like to comment? Do you have any comments in regard to the general development of the budget and those recommendations?
Yeah, as you noted, was discussed earlier today, I think that these are good recommendations that the FAC is making, and I think that it will, for this one single fiscal year, I think it will benefit the town, and the select board can reevaluate in the future should the need arise to make similar adjustments if we have funds available. The only thing I would note is that the select board can't take any formal action on this until the budget is passed by residents first.
Right. But what we are doing is developing the budget to present to the town.
It's been developed, and we'll discuss it shortly.
Yes. Yes, Sheila?
I just wanted to reinforce what Peter just said, that I also think should be a matter of record, is that this is a one-off year, we hope, in planning for the budget and reducing revenues to be raised through taxes, and that this is because of the extraordinary hardship that everybody finds themselves in, or many people find themselves in. So that we need to start expressing that one-off year now and sharing that for consistently through the whole budget process, and maybe even beyond into the new budget year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask, I mean, what are people's thoughts on how we will communicate that this is a one-time thing, just so it's very clear to the citizens?
We can put, I suppose we could put another article in the Gazette that underlies that. But can you make, Sheila, the article that you wrote for the Gazette can emphasize that, can it not?
So it does. The article says Guilford cannot maintain, last line, Guilford cannot maintain a cutthroat budget without endangering its financial security in future fiscal years. It is important to understand that this is a one-time effort that reflects the burden of our times. So that is the opening of that discussion, I think, or but it's there in the article already. I'm pretty sure the Gazette may have already gone to be printed. I don't know.
If I might say so, Veranda, I'll get to you in a moment, but if I might say so, I don't think that, to me, it doesn't seem that the town would become habituated to an action taken in 1 year. I mean, people are pretty savvy about budgeting. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Miranda?
I know my sister is in the process of, setting the Gazette, and we could ask her to bold that if we think that it requires special attention.
Mm-hmm. Peter?
I also, just in response to Michael's question, I just wanted to note that at the meeting this morning, Richard had suggested that when we send out this postcard notifying residents of the Australian ballot, of adding, I think just the one line that Sheila just read would be a very good thing to add to that in reference to Richard's suggestion earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'd like to have something besides the Gazette.
No, well, then we can do that. That will be a mailing to the whole town, telling them about the Australian ballot, and also emphasizing the current governor's orders about COVID. I mean, very summarily, particularly emphasizing social distancing and mask wearing in public places. Yes, Sheila?
So just one more thing about this recommendation, which is that the figures in the recommendations are different from the figures in the Gazette article. I think we've actually saved more money than we had projected in January 7th. So there needs to be some discussion of that as well, so that people don't get confused.
Yes, Veranda?
So perhaps we could put some notice of this in the town report as well. I noticed that Leslie has joined us, and I don't know whether the whole text of the town report is set, but it does seem as if we could also use that as another platform for that message.
Yes, we could.
That's something that the auditors would have to authorize.
Well, we
Pardon?
could request that the auditors consider it.
Right, because the town report is being written before the budget is passed. So I don't think we can make a statement like that. Is that what you're getting at, Peter?
That is correct, Richard.
Sheila, did you want to add something? Okay, Anne?
I think the time that it's going to be important to highlight that this was a one-off is going to be next year, for the next year's budget, when people are going to be like, whoa, our budget went up this huge percentage, comparing it to the FY 2022 budget. And in fact, it would be more comparable to look at 2021 and almost skip this year. This year is the anomaly. And I think when we're going to have to really focus on that is next year, when people see what they consider a big jump.
So we have to keep in mind to have a communications plan about that, for sure. Anyone else? Well, thank you for those recommendations, Finance Advisory Committee. And now Peter's going to take us, in the hope that that the select board will approve the budget. Peter will take us through it primarily. We won't go through it line item by line item, but category by category.
Actually, Richard, sorry to interrupt, but you're actually skipping an item there. The next item is the town capital plan and the Finance Advisory Committee recommendations, if they have any, for the capital plan.
They weren't in the memo that the Finance Advisory Committee gave. So I thought that you would do the capital budget at the same time you do the budgets.
Okay, sure. Then moving on to that, as Richard noted, all of this information has been previously reviewed multiple times at select board budget meetings, in which select board members and Finance Advisory Committee members were all present, as well as was open to the public. So I'm going to only highlight the subcategories within this, and not, as Richard said, go through each line by line. So the proposed budget for the what is considered the 003 general budget for the select board. The first subheading is select board expenses, and the overall proposed expenses for this year is $225,179. Richard, do you want a comparison to last year, or you only want this year's proposal?
No, I would like a comparison, please. Yes.
Okay, so the FY21 budget was $250,336. So this is shows a reduction in this year. Scrolled a little too far. Next is the treasurer's budget, which is a total of $38,833 proposed for 22. The 21 budget for the treasurer was $53,797. So a fairly substantial decrease there.
Peter,
next,
can you show those? Can you share the screen? Do you have the numbers to share on the screen?
I do. Can you give me 2 seconds and I'll share it with everyone?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to look at it while you're talking and I'm not getting there fast enough.
Well, I mean, all of us have gone through this line by line, but we can.
But he updated it. It's changed today.
I'd like to see it too, if it's
Okay.
possible.
And actually, in sharing it this way, the folks on TV can see the numbers themselves.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So can everyone see this?
The town of Guilford is presenting. Yes.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
This
Yes.
is oops, let's see, sorry, that I need to get the 003. Give me 1 second and we're going to switch. There we go. All right, so that should come up to you all very quickly here. All right, so scrolling down.
That's the revenues. We need the expenses.
Yep, so Next is the BCA at $1,600 is proposed for 22, which is level funding with FY21. Next is the transfers out, which is proposed is $265,000, also level funding with FY21.
But Peter,
The
that
next
doesn't reflect the recommendation. So does that mean you need to act on it? That those funds not come from tax revenues, but from the capital reserve, the general reserve fund?
Well, as Richard noted a few moments ago, that the budget hasn't been approved yet, as well as the select board has not taken any formal action on the recommendations from the Finance Advisory Committee. And so, no, that is not reflected, and that was discussed at the FAC meeting this morning as well, that the potential changes won't be reflected in the budget until it gets approved by the select board and the town.
Got it. Sorry.
Nope, it's okay. Good question. Next is the auditors proposed for FY22, and this is both the elected town auditors, and this also covers the professional auditors. Proposed for 22 is $23,850, which is an increase of $1,000 over last year due to increased costs for printing of the town report. Next category is the listers. Proposed is $34,298. Last year was $34,471, so a very minor decrease there. Next category is the town clerk. Proposed is $64,435. 21 was $68,497, so there is a decrease there as well. Next category is delinquent tax administration. This year's proposed budget is $4,600. The 21 budget is $6,600, so a decrease of $2,000. Next category is floodplain administration. Proposed for this year is $350. FY21 was $500, so there's a reduction as well. Now each of the commissions, as the select board discussed at a previous select board meeting, that they decided to fund for this upcoming fiscal year of 22, fund the commissions 50% from their respective reserve funds and 50% from tax revenue, which is reflected in the proposals for each commission. The planning commission is $500 as proposed, which with their reserve fund would be level funding for last year. The Conservation Commission proposed is $1,250 with an additional coming from their reserve fund for level funding with last year. Next is the Recreation Commission. Similarly, proposed is $1,640, which is the other half would be coming from their reserve fund, and that is level funding with last year. The next category is law enforcement. The proposed budget for this year is $0, down from $7,000 last year. Next category is the pound keeper. Proposed is $4,105, which is level funding with FY21. Next category is the health officer. Proposed budget of $150, also level funding with FY21. Next, we have solid waste, which is for Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, and proposed funding is $14,928, which is level funding with the current year. Next is Cemetery Commission, similar to the other two commissions, that the proposed amount to be raised by taxes is $3,850, with which the other half will come from their reserve fund for level funding with this current year. Next is the debt service, which proposed is $0 because we have paid off our debts, which is the same as the current fiscal year. Next is the fire warden, proposed is $0, which is level funding with the current year of $0. Next category is the annual services to the town. Proposed for FY22 is $87,854. This current year is $84,220. So there's a slight increase this year due to these services increasing their fees for us.
And also that we voted to increase the contribution to the Gazette and the Front Porch Forum.
Yep, and that was a whopping $75 that it increased it by. Next is local public services, which is our fire department, and they are requesting $273,450, which is level funding with the current year. Next category is the Guilford Free Library. Their proposed budget is $36,000. For the current fiscal year, it is $35,005. And last but not least, the final category is social service agencies, and the proposed amount is $28,243. The amount for FY21 was $31,243, and so there's a decrease this year primarily because HCRS was unable to successfully complete a petition. So that total expenses for 003 for the general budget is $1,110,115. The budget for FY21 was $1,168,408. So there is there's a $58,000 reduction between the two fiscal years. And this does not include potential reductions from the discussion a short time ago. If there are not any questions, then I will move on and we can discuss the 009, the highway budget. Is that okay, Richard?
Yes, but I want to just get a matter of administration clarified. I think perhaps we need a motion to accept the Finance Advisory Committee's recommendation, and then those numbers can change in the budget. Does anybody disagree with that?
I don't know.
I personally did slightly, but I mean, I'm not a select board member. I mean, and that was discussed at the meeting earlier today. So,
yeah, because we want the budget. We want the budget to reflect what the Finance Advisory Committee recommended, and the select board members who were present seem to agree with. So I don't know. I don't know if we need a motion or we can just approve it. Anne?
I would think that if you're going to approve the budget tonight, you would want to have the corrected budget being the one you approved.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Maybe I misunderstood from the FAC recommendations then, but part of that was, I thought, was contingent upon the final results of the professional audit and whether or not, or what amount of funds will remain to be transferred into the reserve fund.
Sheila?
So I think the recommendation specifically says 35,000 of the new Guilford to use the general reserve fund to fund $35,000 to the new Guilford Volunteer Fire Department. So it would read 0 in the budget line with a commitment by the select board to fund it through the general reserve fund. 12,500 to the Green River Covered Bridge Fund, 3,000 to the Record Preservation Fund, and 24,000 to the Waterline Fund. So all of those would read 0 with a note that they will be funded in full through the General Reserve Fund. The Capital Projects Fund would be up to 125, but it's like, so it could be 100. So it could be, that's about $75,000. So it could be another $50,000 funds the capital reserve project. That depends on, that specific figure, Peter, depends on the audited results. It
Okay.
could be, and then the select board, I think as we discussed this morning, could decide if they wanted to add more to that $50,000 reduction in the 225,000. That was my understanding from this morning's discussion.
With that, then I would recommend to the select boards to take a formal vote on approving the FAC recommendations. And whilst you are doing that, I can make those adjustments to each of these categories if that's what you wish.
Does someone have a motion to accept the recommendation of the?
Can I have one question?
Sure, Rusty.
Since I wasn't there, the 35,000 of the fire department, is that still in our, do they still have to come to us, or is that money we're giving to them?
It's in their budget. There's two line items in their budget. One is their operating funds, and one is $35,000 for their capital fund. So the general reserve funds, but in the town, would be used to fund that $35,000. So they would get their capital fund.
So we would have no control over it. That's what I'm saying.
That's a different issue.
I thought, yes, following on Rusty's thought, didn't we agree that we wanted to hold the capital fund, the fire department capital fund, as one of the capital funds that we hold?
Yes.
Not hand it off to the fire department for them to control.
And until such a time that they request those funds from the town.
Okay.
So maybe, Rusty, what you're suggesting is that Guilford Volunteer Fire Department Capital Fund be moved up to transfer of funds out.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that they have to come to us instead of
They
just,
do, yes, they do, Rusty.
okay.
So do I have a motion to accept the recommendation?
I will.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Zone seconded, or was that Rusty?
That was Rusty.
Okay, thanks, Rusty. Is there any further discussion or questions? All right, I'll take the roll. Michael?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Miranda?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. So that the recommendations are approved, and therefore they will be populated. The figures will be populated into the budget.
And thank you for all of the work of the Finance Advisory Committee. It's harmonious and so appreciated.
Peter, are we ready to move on, or are you populating?
I don't need to take everyone's time populating.
Okay.
This document is.
Populate later. That's what I say.
That sounds good.
Is that a technical term?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I need to move to the other computer screen so you guys can actually see what I will be talking about here. All right, now moving on to the 009 highway proposed budget. This should be coming up for you all shortly here. This will be even quicker than the last one. So the first category in the highway expenses is the highway expenses. For the proposed budget for FY22 for this category is $446,336. For the current fiscal year, that number is $480,396. So there's a slight reduction in the proposed budget. Next category is road resurfacing. The budget proposal is $130,000, which is level funding with the current fiscal year. The next category is winter expenses. The proposed budget is $190,020. For the current fiscal year, that number is $210,300. $515. So we also see a reduction there. Next category is bridges. FY22 proposed is $68,500, which is level funded with the current fiscal year. Next is the municipal roads general permit. Proposed is $2,500, which is also level funded with the current fiscal year. Next category is the town garage expenses. Proposed is $36,100. Current fiscal year is $34,000. It's a slight increase due to some increases in electricity and telephone expenses for this year. The final category is town equipment. The proposed budget for FY22 is $100,000 even. The current fiscal year is $95,000, and this is a small increase of $5,000, primarily due to an increase in cost for parts for repairs. This gives us a total FY22 proposed budget for the Highway Department of $973,457. For the current FY21 budget, it is $1,020,911. So you can see there's a slight decrease. And that is all for the Highway Department.
Thank you, Peter. Are there any questions or discussion of the highway budget? Yes, Zon.
I move to accept the highway budget.
Okay.
We actually need to have a motion for both budgets.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Can you move it 009 and 003?
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rusty. Is there any discussion, questions? Okay, I'll take the roll. Miranda,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Richard, aye. So the budget has been passed. The 09, 03 budgets have been passed. Yippee! And they will be presented to our town in the Australian ballot. Being asked yes or no, do they approve of those two budgets? Thank you very much. That's a lot.
Thank you for all the hard work of select board members and FAC members. I just did one note. I just wanted, just for clarity, I wanted to read the motion just based off of the discussion that we had. So the motion I put in there is Zahn moved to approve the 003 and 009 proposed budgets as read and amended.
Yes. Yep.
Is that acceptable? Particularly Zahn, since you made the motion, but also based on the discussion.
I mean, it's a little weird for us to approve the 003, not having seen what I trust you completely, but it would be nice to see the final numbers and make sure, just so we can say our eyes went over it. We'll trust, I think. So,
well, I mean, if you really want, I mean,
no.
I'll provide the numbers for you in a few moments if you guys want to discuss the next topic.
Well, we've already passed. It's been motion seconded and approved. So there's no going back.
Okay.
Thank you. Richard?
Yes.
Maybe it would be good to just state one more time for the select board members who weren't there this morning what the process is now before it finally gets to the readers in town, before it gets to citizens, what the process is for the auditor and then the proofing that we're doing, so everyone understands.
Okay, so it will be thoroughly proofed. We discussed this morning that the numbers that appear in the town report will be reviewed by the Finance Advisory Committee. And we thoroughly proofread before we close on the town report. And then the auditors will also review it. Is that correct, Peter?
Yep. So as far as the town report portion, yes, that is correct. And then as far as the remainder of the responsibility for the select board is, now that this has been approved, starting tomorrow, I will work on the process of putting together the warning for town meeting, because we still have to have a warning even though we are doing it by Australian ballot. So after I create that, then Penny reviews it for accuracy. Once Penny and I agree on the warning, then it goes to the select board for signatures, which is the way that it has historically been done. And then that information from the warning will then be used to create the Australian ballot, and the warning will also be put in the town report.
Does that answer your question, John? Okay, on to old business. Once again, thanks very much for this efficient passing of the budget. I think that's a big step for the select board to take, and it represents a great deal of work. And thanks for the work that you've done on it, Peter.
Yes.
Old business, reschedule the dog hearing. I hope that you've all read the letter from Mr. Wilcox, and given that letter and the holiday, we had to postpone the dog hearing. And I think that we need to, my feeling is that we need to take Mr. Wilcox's letter to have a lawyer review it. Because I think we're getting into deeper waters with this whole issue of these dogs, the two parties that own these dogs, and the struggles that seem to be occurring between those two parties. That's what my feeling is. I think we really need to be very careful how we move on this, given the level of sensitivity and potential incendiariness of it, it seems. So I would suggest that we have some attorney's advice before we have a hearing, and if possible, find a lawyer who is familiar with these kinds of issues, which there should be no problem doing. Does anybody want to comment on my opinion? Yes, on.
I support it. Thank you very much for that. I wonder, are there timelines here? Is there some amount of time by which we need to respond?
Peter, do you know the answer to that?
At this point in time, it's as soon as possible. Is kind of where we are at with the situation right now. I think that Richard's idea is a good idea. One thing I also did want to suggest to the select board in reading the letter that was sent to all of you folks, in regards to the fines that were assessed to them, what I wanted to say is that there have been at least 2 previous incidents in which the select board has fined a dog owner, and the dog owner in those situations came back, and the select board negotiated with both of those individuals on those fines, and did offer them reduced fines for their willingness to comply with the request, as well as their willingness to, in essence, plead no contest. And so that is something to consider, that has happened already, to consider with a couple of points that Mr. Wilcox made in his letter.
Rusty?
Penny just wanted me to update you that he did pay the fine and he did get the dog licensed.
Oh,
well, that's excellent.
Well, that changes the situation then considerably. So if he's paid the fines, then we don't need to have a hearing.
That is correct.
So can we expunge this from the books then?
I would say I would personally still recommend Richard's suggestion to the select board. I think that the Wilcox family does deserve a response from the select board, yeah. And I think that having an attorney look at that first before that happens, I think, is a wise idea before the select board responds.
So could we do this, and so that we don't have to have a hearing, but we would like some lawyerly advice about how to respond to Mr. Wilcox's letter, making sure that we make no mistakes in that response. Mm-hmm. And that we don't expose ourselves to any liability.
And I think that also would reflect on whether or not any additional fines are assessed towards the people that the Wilcox's complaint was raised against.
So can we agree on that? I don't think we need a motion, but it can.
You can. Informal agreement is fine in this matter.
So do we agree, Select Board? Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're going to get a lawyer on that letter. The next item on our agenda is the warrants, I believe.
Oh, okay. And so, I move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week 12, 2020 for the sum of $7,004.09. Payroll week 12, 2720 for the sum of $7,550.99. Payroll week 1, 3/21 for the sum of $7,503.96. Payroll week 1, 10/21 for the sum of $6,270.06, plus expense warrant number 2011 for the sum of $54,605.93 for a total of $82,935.03.
Do I have a second? Zahn has seconded. Is there any discussion or questions?
There's a lot of insurance payments in there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if you guys want, if you want, I'll just give you a 15-second breakdown of the major expenses that came out of that.
That would be great.
So there was $4,000 spent on tree removal because the road crew had to hire a tree removal company for several projects they did over the past couple of weeks. As Veranda said, there was just over $12,000 for our quarterly insurance payments. And there was the radar speed feedback signs, which was $7,950. And that, yeah. And then we got our final invoices for the summer for mowing the town office and the library and the playscape, which was $2,300. That was the major expenses on that warrant.
Okay, did I have a second on that? I can't remember.
Yeah, Zahn seconded.
Just a quick question.
Yes, right.
Has there been much overtime for snow plowing this year yet? Or what is the number? Does anybody know offhand or no?
I don't know the specific number. There has been a small amount, which is reflected in the weekly payroll, but it is, our weekly payroll averages mid 6,000. So you can see, there's been approximately a small amount, $500 to $1,000 in overtime, which is minimal. And it's only on the days when there's been snow. So.
Okay, we're ready to take a vote. Miranda?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. On to communications, Peter.
Yes, we had two communications. The Select Board received two thank you notes for annual town appropriations. One was from the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont, and the second was from the Mover, formerly known as Connecticut River Transit. And then moving on to the next item, your action summary from your previous meeting was to purchase 2 radar speed feedback signs. You appointed Mary Collins to the Recreation Commission. You increased annual budget support for the Front Porch Forum in the Gazette. Zahn and Rusty would begin reviewing and making recommendations on personnel pay increases and the policy for that. To hold a dog hearing, and then Veranda was to contact the Broadbrook Range about their plans for town meeting, and she's communicated that outside of this meeting. So that was all done. As far as actions for this meeting, the Select Board moved to accept the recommendations of the Finance Advisory Committee meeting. The Select Board approved the 003 and 009 budget proposals, and I will be contacting an attorney to discuss the letter, to get an opinion on the letter that was sent to the Select Board before the Select Board responds. So there were the 2 items that were acted on, and that is the only one that I need to follow up on.
Okay. I think we're done.
Well, let's see, there were the condolence notes.
Oh,
And
Right. Thank you, Brenda.
thank you.
I mean, I will take that on, and if anybody knows anything about Dan Zambreski's sister to help make it a little bit more personal, you know, you could tell me about it, or I could do a little bit of investigation myself and just write a cordial letter from all of us. My sister sent a lovely painting of the Packer Corners Road in autumn. And so it's kind of like the long and winding golden road into eternity. And then she also gave me a card, which was her painting of one of Mimi Morton's beautiful planters. And so do we want to send a condolence to Rick from the Select Board?
Yes, I would like that.
Particular?
Yeah, and I would like it to be short. I think the condolences should be short and very to the point, that the Select Board expresses its condolences.
I won't go on and on, Richard, don't worry.
Okay, I trust you.
And just for Select Board information, Dan's family is having a funeral with siblings and children only this Wednesday, so Dan will be off the rest of this week for those purposes.
Mimi's family is going to have a celebration of Mimi's life around Memorial Day. So do I have a motion to say goodbye, dear friends?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any discussion? Very good. I shall take the roll. Veranda?
Aye.
Zom?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.